The Anker Soundcore Boom 2 Plus has been the perfect summer companion so far. This is a truly impressive portable Bluetooth speaker, and it does seriously bring the boom. So this also scales up a little bit higher in price than previous models like this, the Boom models, and it now comes in at about $250 US. So the question is that this a serious enough upgrade to warrant the upgrade in price as well? Well, that's what we're going to determine in today's review. Now, to give you a little bit of history here, I have owned and reviewed somewhere around 15 different Bluetooth speakers at this point. So obviously a genre that I'm pretty familiar with. And I believe that, there's not a one size fits all when it comes to Bluetooth speakers. What I've been looking for, however, and been interested in is something that is major in terms of putting out huge amounts of sound, not just something that works in a limited application like a room or an office, but something that can fill the yard or the beach or wherever it might be with sound. And I think that I have found that solution in the Soundcore Boom 2 Plus. So a few bits of specifications here. This is rated at 140 watts of peak power, or 100 watts in the nominal or continual power. It has a 20-hour playback. It is rated at IPX7, which means it can be, by the IPX7 rating, that means it can be submerged at a depth of up to 1 meter for as long as 30 minutes. However, it's probably never going to be submerged for that long because it also can float. It has a built-in power bank, and so it can not only have power coming in through the USB-C port, but it can have power going out if you need to charge your phone, for example. It has up to 30-watt fast charge, and so that you can get that battery back up to speed quickly. Its base up 2.0 protocol and hardware delivers a tremendous amount of bass, and it definitely is very, very impressive. I noticed that with the frequency response, it goes down to about 40 hertz, which isn't like high-end subwoofer level, which typically can get you down to 20, even 15 hertz. But 40 hertz for a portable Bluetooth speaker, pretty impressive. It means you're going to be able to get those deep low notes that you're probably looking for in a speaker like this. The configuration is that there are dual 50-watt woofers to drive a lot of sounds. There are dual 20-watt silk tweeters, and then there are the passive radiators on each end that will also be moving in and out as you're bumping along with your music. It does have the light show with different configurations for the kind of lights that can show in sync with the music, whatever the case may be there. You can pair two of these in TWS mode for true stereo sound, but then in their PartyCast 2.0, you can actually connect up to 100 plus, in fact, different Anker Soundcore speakers at that point for a whole lot of sound. Obviously, that's getting into extreme territory, but who knows, maybe you and a lot of your friends like to bring your own speakers along, and you definitely could have a whole lot of noise going on with that. Now, as you can see, this isn't small. Well, now the upside, I guess, is that if you're also looking for something for exercise, you can bring this along and, maybe use this for exercise as well. Works nice for maybe some, tricep kickbacks or something like that. Maybe a few rows. But if you're looking for something with a little bit of heft, the size here is 17.4 inches in width, 5.94 inches in depth, and right under 9 inches in height. The weight is 8.38 pounds or 3.8 kilos. So not lightweight, though I will say the nicely integrated handle has an easy way to grab onto it and bring it along. It is kitted out as well and comes with a strap if you want to carry it in that way to keep your hands free. So let's talk about some practical things that I like after having used it for a month or so, and things that I don't like. The first thing that I like is the sound quality. It is impressively good and is easily the best sounding Bluetooth speaker that I've ever owned as far as the definite sound quality in general. As a kind of a benchmark, I put it up. I have a friend that owns the Ultimate Ears Hyper Boom speaker, a speaker that costs about twice as much as this, and I've always thought, man, I'd love to have a speaker like that because it is really impressively good. So I put them in the same room, we played the same music through them, and I was impressed to say that I would say in a blind test, I actually would prefer the sound that I heard off of this. Had a little bit less of a processed sound, and obviously that can be tweaked some via whatever kind of EQ profile that you're doing, but it just had, I felt like better clarity while having a similar level of low end. So I was really impressed by the sound quality in that kind of head-to-head. I was also blown away by how loud the speaker actually is. And again, as I said, I've got experience with owning and using, testing many speakers before. Even those that are rated fairly close, I actually own a few 100-watt rated speakers, but I don't know what the difference is, but it is not the same 100 watts as compared to this. Now, yes, they're probably comparing their peak performance at 100 watts, whereas this is nominal at 100 watts and it peaks at 140. Nonetheless, they can put out more sound and better sound than anything that I've used before. And so it means that there is enough sound. I've used it in putting the bleachers on a field during an outdoor sand volleyball game, beach volleyball game. Plenty of sound for that. I've set it up for backyard type stuff. It can fill the whole backyard easily. By the way, it also could work nicely if you're wanting to do just by using the 3.5 millimeter input. If you're wanting to do it like an outdoor movie night, it's the rare Bluetooth speaker in my experience that actually has enough sound to pull off that application. And so and then in actual testing in real world, I used a decibel meter and I was able to hit over 95 decibels with it at about a 6-foot range with it maxing out the sound. And that's the other thing though, is that even with it maxed out, it wasn't distorting. It was too loud to be comfortable to be in the same room with it. So don't get me wrong, I would never listen to it at that level for any kind of period of time, because 95 decibels is loud enough to actually do damage to your ears with prolonged exposure. It's right under what a motorcycle, riding a motorcycle being right on top of it is rated at about 98 decibels of sound. That's a lot of noise. And so this is just a few decibels less than that. So obviously it can get really, really loud. I will say, as kind of already mentioned, that I did like the actual handle integration. I wouldn't have minded a little bit more of soft touch materials rather than just hard molded plastics, but it's nicely scalloped. It fit my hand fine. And even though the speaker is fairly large and fairly heavy, it wasn't all that hard to carry along because of the well integrated handle. That's one area where, for example, the Hyperboom, it's got like a little strap that you can add onto it to carry it one-handed, but for the most part, you're probably doing a two-handed carry, whereas this is a little bit easier to bring along. I also really like the fact that lag is impressively low. And so if you're doing something like video content, I set this behind, on a number of occasions, I set it behind a tablet or laptop, iPad that I had a movie going on, and I found that even over Bluetooth that it was a great experience. There was no lag between what I could see on screen, what I heard in the sound, and that big sound stage was really quite impressive to where it felt much more immersive than any kind of portable solution that I've ever seen for sound in that kind of application. Very impressive for that. I also noted, just kind of as an interesting aside, that it is configured to where I could connect both my iPad and my iPhone to it, and I could just seamlessly switch back and forth between those two audio sources without having to manually disconnect one and connect to the other, etc., etc. So that was a nice application. On one particular night, I was switching between showing video content and then also playing music in kind of a games night type setting, and I could do that seamlessly without having to disconnect one device at the same time. So some things that I really liked about the speaker itself. Now, as far as things that I don't like, truth of the matter is the list is pretty short, and it's it's all kind of arbitrary things. For me, the light show is it's not really my thing, but I'm also a middle-aged man, and so I recognize that I may not be the target audience for the light show there. And so if you love that kind of thing, fantastic. For me, it's a gimmick, and frankly, I mostly just turn it off. I've got it on right now. On the times when the sun's going in and out, it's partly cloudy today. When the sun goes out, you may have seen the lights flashing on screen, but I mean, your mileage may vary when it comes to that. I'll just leave it at that. Obviously, if you're looking for something that's small and discreet, this is not your speaker. And so this is the largest and heaviest speaker that I think that Soundcore has ever made before, but that's kind of the thing. It's what it's being made for. So my conclusion is this. This is, for me, it's the kind of Bluetooth speaker that I have been looking for. I've bought a lot of supposedly bigger and louder speakers that just didn't satisfy me in terms of the sound quality and then the overall volume that they could put out. This is exactly what I'm looking for, and I can only imagine how big the sound would be if you paired a couple of these in stereo mode. It would be truly impressive. And so I'm very impressed by that. I'm impressed by the quality of the sound and also the quantity of the sound, and that really is kind of the bottom line for me. Now, I recognize that at 250 bucks, it's not cheap, but at the same time, if you look at those that it's kind of directly competing against, they're similar speakers from JBL, I've already mentioned the Hyperboom. Speakers like that tend to cost hundreds of dollars more than it. So if you're comparing it head to head with speakers that are kind of in a similar class of performance, I think that this comes out as a really nice value. And of course, the fact that it is waterproof means that you can bring along, you can use it outdoors. If it starts to rain, not the end of the world. You can even put it in the pool with you if you're so inclined and let it float around and hit your beats for you. So really an impressive speaker that I have thoroughly enjoyed using it. I'm becoming quite a fan of Anker and the Soundcore brand in general. I feel like they offer great value in their products, and so far they've all held up really nicely for me. In fact, one of my Soundcore earbuds recently went through the wash. I was out with it and I put it in a pocket because I needed to have a conversation with somebody. I forgot it in my pocket. It went through the wash. I let it dry out. I put it back in. It played just fine. That's pretty impressive. So if you're looking for a big sound speaker, check out the Soundcore Boom 2 Plus. It'll give you a lot of punch. I'm Dustin Abbott, and if you look in the description down below, there are some buying links there if you'd like more information. There's also a landing page on my website with some of the detailed notes from the review if you want to check that out as well. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and let the sound in.